Cindy Morgan is a name that might not be etched into your mind, but if you grew up watching the classic comedy Caddyshack, then you very much know who she is. Cindy played the seductive character Lacey Underall, who beguiled the men played by Chevy Chase, Michael O'Keefe, and others. It was a potentially star-making turn for the young actress, especially because of how well she played the part and how well the movie was received. Yet Cindy's career never really took off after Caddyshack. Join Facts Verse as we present Cindy Morgan sizzled in Caddyshack, then she disappeared for years. Her early years. Cindy Morgan was born in Chicago as Cynthia Ann Sikorsky. After attending a local Catholic school, she graduated from Northern Illinois University. After that, she got jobs in local radio, during which time she decided on her stage name, Cindy Morgan. She did well on air, but after discovering she was making a fraction of what the male DJs were making, she quit. After picking up a few assorted modeling gigs locally, she moved to LA and began auditioning to be an actress. She found almost immediate success in the world of commercials, becoming the Irish Spring Girl for the popular line of soap. Her legit debut on screen was Caddyshack, and it was the role that was perhaps her most defining. John Peters, one of the producers, had initially tried to snag Bo Derek for the part, but the other producers insisted on casting an unknown actress instead. According to Morgan, she knew she had gotten the part when, in the audition, she saw a tiny bead of sweat dripping down the cheek of producer Doug Kenny. Kenny was reading the scene with her, and clearly her sexy performance had gotten him hot under the collar. Filming Caddyshack. At first, Morgan had a tough time trying to nail down the character, but after Doug Kenny showed her Lauren Bacall's sultry and seductive performance in To Have and Have Not, things clicked for Cindy. Of course, there were other challenges to the newbie Cindy, including the fact that Caddyshack was full of actors who liked to improvise at all times. Morgan found this frustrating and ended up getting into a fight with co-star Chevy Chase because he was changing things so much from take to take. Takes that ended up in the movie were ones that included actions that Morgan had not agreed to, such as Chevy pouring massage oil all over her back. And then there was the issue of the nude scene. Morgan was pressured into appearing nude. At one point during filming, it was brought to Cindy's attention that the powers that be wanted her to appear topless in the movie. She hadn't been told this before and was against it. Director Harold Ramis talked to her about it, and he was inclined to let it slide, not wanting to make his actress uncomfortable. But producer John Peters wasn't quite so kind. Reportedly, Peters demanded to speak to Cindy on the phone while she was mid-conversation with Ramis. After a couple minutes of their conversation, Morgan agreed to be topless. According to Ramis, when he later asked Morgan what Peters had said to her that made her change her mind, Morgan told him Peters gave her an ultimatum. He flat out told her if she didn't appear nude in Caddyshack, she'd never work in the film business again. And that wasn't the end of the story either. Peters became convinced that a great way to promote the film would be for Morgan's nude photos to appear in Playboy. He had a photographer come to set to take photos while they filmed her love scene. This enraged Morgan, who had never agreed to such terms. She demanded filming shut down.
This video is brought to you by Shaker and Spoon. Shaker and Spoon is a monthly cocktail subscription box that delivers the craft cocktail experience right to your front door. Each month, you'll receive a box with 3 unique recipes in them. You'll get to try out different liquors and quality ingredients without having to individually purchase all of the items. I ordered the Begin Again box, which features gin-based cocktail recipes. I was really impressed by the quality of the ingredients, which ranged from fresh rosebuds to delicious syrups and garnishes. The first recipe I tried was for a cocktail called Play It Cool. The recipe card was super easy to follow, and it's without a doubt one of the most delicious cocktails I've ever made at home. So if you're interested in delicious, complex drinks made simple and delivered to your front door, check out Shaker and Spoon today. If you click the link below and use the code FACTSVERSE at checkout, or go to shakerandspoon.com/factsverse, you can get $20 off of your first box.
The ramifications of Cindy's feud with John Peters. After Cindy's refusal to be photographed for Playboy, John Peters took it upon himself to make things more difficult for her. For starters, he refused to allow Cindy to be credited on the movie as, quote, introducing Cindy Morgan. This might seem like a small thing, but it's the type of thing that can make Hollywood insiders take note of a young talent. and besides, she had been promised that title card when they filmed. Then, when it came time to screen the film's premiere, Peters excluded Morgan from the invite list. Morgan, however, was able to come to the premiere after Doug Kenny provided her with screening passes and first-class tickets to New York City for the event. Peters was dumbfounded when he saw Cindy at the event, having tried his best to keep her from attending. Morgan says that she calmly said to Peters, "John, what are you doing here?" And Peters was so surprised, he spilled his popcorn. These squabbles might sound like the end of the issue, especially since the movie was over, but Peters was a vindictive man. In the years following Caddyshack's release, he used his Hollywood clout to make things increasingly hard for Cindy. Despite being a major part of a huge Hollywood release, she had a really difficult time even securing auditions, let alone job offers, in the years after the movie came out. Before we tell you more, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Her other major movie. Despite John Peters' attempt to keep Cindy from working again as an actress, she did manage to secure some TV guest spots in the years after Caddyshack. These included roles in staples like Chips and The Love Boat, and she was actually offered roles in a couple movies as well, but turned them down. One was for the campy teen comedy Porky's, which she turned down because she felt it was too sex-driven for her. She also didn't love how it portrayed women. She turned down Motel Hell because she wasn't a fan of horror films and she felt the movie wasn't socially responsible. But after a couple years, she finally found her next movie role. She was cast as the female lead in Tron, the technological and futuristic Disney movie that was lauded for its incredible special effects. Starring alongside Jeff Bridges, Cindy actually played two characters in the movie. And while the movie has had some cultural staying power over the years, and even got the reboot treatment a few years ago, it was generally a box office and critical failure. Cindy's career after Tron. In the many decades since 1981's Tron, Morgan's career has had a series of minor successes, but it was never able to reach the pinnacles of starring in Caddyshack and Tron. She didn't stop acting, though. She was able to land roles in an assortment of shows and an occasional movie over the years. In 1982, she starred in the action series Bring 'Em Back Alive. Sadly, that show proved too costly to make, and it couldn't make a splash against rival shows like The A-Team, so CBS scrapped it after 17 episodes. In the next decade, Cindy made appearances on shows like Amazing Stories, The Return of the Shaggy Dog, and comedy classic The Larry Sanders Show. She also began to work behind the camera, producing several sci-fi movies in the 90s alongside producer Larry Estes. Morgan reportedly learned a lot from the experience, including the fact that, as she put it, everybody is making things up as they go along. But just as with her early acting experiences, she was forced to confront the issue of female nudity and the role it plays in selling TV and movies. She was making these sci-fi movies for Showtime, which is accustomed to showing nudity. And Morgan had to deal with that fact again, but this time from behind the camera. Her most recent appearance was in a short film in 2016 called Face of the Father. There were reportedly some rumors flying around that she was set to appear in an action film called The Seventh Year, but those rumors proved unfounded. These days, she lives in Florida. She does occasional voiceover roles and apparently is considering writing a book about her time on the set of Caddyshack. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Cindy Morgan's career would have gone much better had John Peters not tried to thwart it? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.